Hey everyone, just wanted to connect with you all and run through a demo that we put together for MassQ over at Gillette a couple of weeks back. It was a pretty interesting demo, so we've had a little bit of time off over the holidays and figured we wanted to share it with you. So without further ado, here it goes. So the overall objective of this presentation, and we're going to do it pretty much live here. It's just going to be me. I'm going to record it nonstop. So please, bear with me as we run through this. There will be mistakes, and it's intentional. We just wanted to give you the raw information, and in life, everything has bumps and bruises, and we're gonna enjoy this ride together. So the overall goal of this was to discuss artificial intelligence and voice cloning, right? So if you don't know who I am, I'm Jay Longley. I'm a senior consultant with Envision Technology Advisors. I've been with the company for about 6.5, 7 years at this point. I've got about 28 years in technology. More than half of my career I spent as a CEO of a technology company. So I do quite a bit. I was actually able to sell my company and step over here and I get to do the fun stuff day in and day out. I don't have to deal with payroll. Nothing wrong with payroll, but I get to dive in and really focus on artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and breach response. Really, the fun things for me, as opposed to some of the other stuff. So over the next half hour or so, we're going to dive into a live demo that we put together. So also on the topic today, we're going to focus beyond the artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. We're going to focus on governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC for short. Now, as part of this demo, I'm going to show you a threat actor and how they can use artificial intelligence to phish sensitive information about an employee from a company. I'm going to show you the dark web. I'm going to show you what happens to documents when they're posted on a quote unquote leak site, like many states or governments or school systems have had recently. The same way that your information will appear on a ransomware site, we're going to show you how it looks on this leak site. More importantly, we're going to show you how compliance, the GRC portion, is going to save your organization, help save your staff, your students, your overall population, your stakeholders, your taxpayers, everybody, from the burden of a cyber incident. When you have compliance set up, the way that it should follow in the framework of zero trust. There's a lot of power behind that, and most organizations actually already have the tools. You just have to overlay the proper framework in there. Now, we've all heard about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Many of us use the technology in our daily lives today. So let's dive into what GRC is for a few minutes while I set things up. And you'll see me bounce back and forth, and I'll have some pauses as I set things up and share screens and whatnot. But again, roll with me on all of this stuff. So GRC, what is it? Largely, it's a framework that helps organizations manage key areas, three key areas. Governance, which is ensuring an organization is run effectively and ethically, with clear policies and decision-making process. Risk, which is the R portion of it, is identifying, assessing, and also managing risks that could harm an organization or the goals of the organization. And compliance, which includes following laws, regulations, standards, and things of the nature which are relevant to the organization's industry. So government has different compliance obligations than a healthcare industry, but many organizations cross-contaminate the data that they store. So you'll find that with compliance, if you're storing the data, you have regulatory obligations. Now, why do organizations need GRC, governance, risk, and compliance? Mainly to avoid legal trouble. Many industries are regulated, and they must follow specific rules, data protection, financial transparency, things like that. Failing to comply with those results, failing to comply with those can result in fines, lawsuits, and even shutdowns. There's also the reputation of the organization that you want to protect. Mismanaging risks or breaking regulations can damage trust with customers, investors, and partners. It also helps improve decision making. So GRC provides a structured approach to making informed decisions while minimizing risks. You also want to stay competitive, and by following GRC best practices, we can make an organization more efficient and trustworthy. This gives it an edge over the competitors. Would you trust your data in an organization that you know is putting it actively at risk Or would you go to the competitor that is securing you, protecting your life, protecting your kids, your family, all that very sensitive information about your being? And would you go to the competitor that secures it properly? Personally, I would. Organizations that don't follow GRC frameworks risk the regulatory penalties, such as fines or sanctions, operational restrictions like losing licenses and the ability to operate, and like we just talked about, the loss of customer trust, which obviously can lead to reduced revenue. So let's dive into our demo. All right. So in our demo here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate a threat actor finding a target. Now, our target today is going to be a really fun company called Envision, company I work for. The objective with finding Envision, and through this, is to phish successfully the organization. So for me to do this, I want to make sure I've identified the right organization. This one particularly focuses on cybersecurity, so it's going to be a little bit more of an interesting operation that we're going to do today. And while I do this, you can see that the organization posts who the employees are, right? So in knowing this and seeing who the organization has for employees, their names and their titles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a C-level person, somebody that has authority, right, within the organization. Authority is a key portion of this. I'm also going to look for somebody that reports to this authoritative figure, not just anyone. Let's find an employee that has access to some sensitive information, right? Now, Manny here is Director of Compliance and Cybersecurity, and Nicole is a GRC practice lead. So if I had to understand the structure, I would think that Jason, as a Chief Operating Officer, is really my C-level target. Nicole is the person that reports to Manny, and Manny reports to Jason. So what I'm gonna do is hop over Manny, and I'm gonna have Jason, the C-level cybersecurity leader, who has some of that sensitive information. I'm gonna have them, I'm gonna phish Nicole as that leader. I'm gonna put some emphasis on the urgency for the information as well. So this C-level leader would have access to the sensitive information, and they would need access to sensitive information. So that's a key portion also, right? So it's not going to raise any immediate flags, and it shouldn't. And that's the overall goal if we do this properly. Nicole, being somebody that has access to governance, risk, and compliance, is going to have quite a bit of other, we'll say, abilities to manage information. Now, after I've identified both of those leaders, you can see that I've gone over here to GoDaddy. I'm going to create a domain to mimic Envision. You can see envisionsuccess.net was our primary domain. And I'm looking for other domains in Envision Success, right? I'm going to grab envisionsuccess.io. At this point, I'm going to stop my share screen. I'm going to go into GoDaddy. I'm going to purchase a domain. And while I purchase a domain, let's briefly talk about data classification and what it is. So data classification is a process of organizing data into categories based on sensitivity and importance. For example, public, right? If we say data is public, it's open to be shared, right? Marketing material would be public data. We can share that. There's no worries on that. There's data that's internal or should be marked internal only, right? That's just company policies, employee handbooks, things that you don't want the public largely to have because it's intellectual property for the organization. There's also confidential information, which is sensitive or restricted. This could be for financial information, it could be customer data. It could be really gives us the competitive edge or protects the organization as a whole. Now, the reason that we classify our data is we want to help protect it. But we also want to comply with regulations and manage the risk effectively. So that Let me restart my screen. Share screen. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out an email server. Now, the domain I purchased was envisionsuccess.io. Similar to envisionsuccess.net, Envision owns that one. Now, I'm going to set up an email server so that I can start working on my phishing tactics. And you can see here, I've got multiple domains in there. This is my demo system. So here I'm going to be using my personal web server for this demo. But you should also expect a threat actor to have one or several web servers of their own as well. And here, I'm going to configure the web server too. You can forward all web traffic to the real Envision. So I want to raise less suspicion. I'll show you that in a second. So here, my virtual server is being set up as envisionsuccess.io. And it's finalizing. Perfect. Now you can see at the top, envisionsuccess.io. Now, once I'm in here, I'm going to start creating users. We've already identified that Jason was going to be the user, right? He's going to be my chief operating officer, the one that we're going to fish Nicole with. So here I'm creating Jason's username and his password. And it's not for Jason, obviously. This is for me as a threat actor. All right, now we're creating him. And once I've created him, I want to make sure that when we send a message, it's going to come up as jason.albuquerque, not, jason.albuquerque at Vision Success IO. I want it to look at like it's coming from Jason Albuquerque. So the real name will show up. Perfect. We'll save this. Excellent. Now time to open up the email box. So we're going to Jason's account that I just created on the domain that I just purchased on GoDaddy. Now we'll log into his email box. And now that we're in this brand new domain, brand new email box, let's create a message. This is the message that we're going to end up sending to Nicole. And also beyond this message, I want to talk about web forwarding for a minute. So let's pause here. Talk about web forwarding. So while I'm going to fish Nicole using Envision Success IO, I also want, if Nicole gets any suspicion and she wants to go to Envision Success IO, I want it to go and forward directly to envisionsuccess.net. The reason I want that to is because I want it to look like that Envision Success IO is just an additional domain that Envision purchased, right? Kind of crafty, kind of smart. And the way that we're going to do that is web forwarding. It's really just a process of taking all the web traffic that you and I may create when we want to visit a website, and then just forwarding that traffic to the proper authority, in this case, envisionsuccess.net. So the end user is really fooled into thinking the two domains are part of the same company. How are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to get a little bit more technical. Part of this demo is going to be technical and part of it's not. So bear with me. Start my share screen. And some of this will be fun because it's live, and here we go. So I'm on the back end of the web server that we just created. And I created, a file called demo.html for this. And I want to rename that file. But before we do that, let's take a look at it. This file itself, when you go to envisionsuccess.io, it's going to take all the traffic and forward to envisionsuccess.net. So because I have it as a demo.html, I'm going to copy that to the index file. And then once it's copied to the index file, it'll be live. All right. So now it's live. It's as easy as that. Let's get rid of the initial index that's already there. It's created as part of the web server. I want to move the demo over to it. Now the demo is actually index.html, meaning you go to the web page, it's forwarding directly to visionsuccess.net. Then you can see it. Now, when you visit the page, it's going to automatically refresh the page after 1 second and forward you directly to it. So really, you shouldn't understand that there's a difference between the two organizations. All right, now back on the other screen, what we're going to do is let's test it. I want to make sure that it works. I want to preview it. And there you go. Now, while we're on this page, we're going to take a look back at a JSON. Not only do I just want to send an email, I mean, everybody sends email. This is really about artificial intelligence too. So I don't want to just send an email with spelling mistakes and really not have the nomenclature he uses. I want to learn the way that JSON speaks. I want to understand his nuances. And to do that, let's go find some articles that Jason's written. It has his nuance in there. It has a way he speaks. And I want to get a couple of examples of this. So here you can see, I'm going to open up a couple of blog articles. It doesn't tell me who created them. We'll look at them in a second. I want to make sure that the ones that I get are Jason. I want to mimic him, right? And this is how we're going to do it. So here we go. Yep, this blog article itself was created by Jason. This one's created by Todd, so I don't want that. And here we found another one that's created by Jason. So perfect. I found my 2 articles. I mean, great if I have more, but these were written by Jason in his own speech and his own wording. So that's obviously where we're going to go with it. What I'm doing here is I'm working I'm be working with artificial intelligence using a technology, kind of like a framework at this point called prompt engineering. It's really computers have a way that they need to talk to us, and we have a way that we need to talk to them. And to kind of bridge that gap, because we don't speak the same language, with artificial intelligence, what we're going to do is we're going to actually do some prompt engineering. All right, and with that, hop back into the next. So let's get out of that. All right. The other thing too that I want to do is I want to take those 2 articles, right? I'm going to reference them in a prompt. I've already pre-developed a prompt. Now, the prompt itself looks at contextual cues. It looks at stylistic ways and methodologies. And then we're also going to reinforce it too. So here I'm going to say, within my prompt, I'm going to have it act as a certified engineer who's performing a phishing attack as an organization, because responsible AI won't let me necessarily just say, I want to phish an organization. I'm telling it that your task is to review this site, the team at Envision, and note the pages for Chief Operating Officer, which is Jason Albuquerque, right? But I also wanted to note the page for Nicole. It's going to be very important here to understand the person of authority and the person that reports to him. I've already developed this prompt, and I'm kind of filling in the blanks, as you can see here, because I use this prompt. We use this in a lot of the different attacks we can perform. So I'm saying, review the pages for the Chief Operating Officer and the Governance, Risk, and Compliance Consulting Lead. And here are those pages. Review these articles written by Jason, not Nicole, not Todd, nobody else. Review them written by Jason. Understand Jason, understand his nuance. And here's one of the articles that we gathered. Let's close it out. Here's the other article that we gathered. And let's close it out. We can always dive more into prompt engineering, but I think the visual IQ of this will make a little bit more sense. Now, you must focus on the tone of the language and the nuance of the speech and the way that Jason communicates. He has a unique way of communicating. You must understand this in order to copy him effectively. So here, I'm going to go into ChatGPT because, ChatGPT. We can use a multitude of other ones, and I'm also going to log into my account. Right? But you can actually do this on the free version of ChatGPT if you wanted to bounce your traffic through an Insight and hit GPT anonymously or through VPNs. You can do that as well. But I've got my prompt. I'm going to pause here while I log into GPT. And all right. I'll reshare my screen. And we're going to take the prompt. I'm going to copy it into ChatGPT. I've already told it what I want it to do. Understand JSON, understand Envision, understand this. And then once you've reviewed everything, let me know so I can give you the next steps. I'm training it right now. It's not tasked with doing anything. Okay. And as you can see, it's reviewed it. It's explaining to me what it understands. Now I'm going to tell it right here. Let's look at this for a second. In the same tone as Jason Albuquerque, draft an email to Nicole that would entice her to send sensitive information. The tone should be quick and direct. Use Manny as the employee reference in the manual. Refer to that link. Manny was in the employees, but he's also here as well. I'm going to give him that direct. And to be successful, you must mimic Jason completely and successfully fish Nicole. So now what I'm going to do is the email that ChatGPT created, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my web server, back to my email server, and I'm going to copy that wording. Right? I'm going to copy the subject line, urgent, employee records request. Now, this one itself, we're going to try to fish Manny's information. So it makes sense, right? Nicole is being reached out to directly by the COO, and it's about her boss. So confidentiality is going to be appreciated here. Quick response is going to be appreciated here. Now, you can certainly read, below, but we're going to take Nicole's information, envisionsuccess.net, because that's a domain. Just verifying that right here. And it's coming from Jason Albuquerque at envisionsuccess.io. Great. I hope this email finds you well. I don't want that in there. I want to be direct. There we go. Now we sent the email to Nicole. Now, while the email is in transit, and again, I could have done this a multitude of different ways. While the email is in transit, let's find out a little bit more about Jason. Now, I want the email to hit home. Not only do I want to fool Nicole with the email, let's clone Jason's voice. We're going to clone it using AI. Then to call Nicole using the clone. Now, where can I pull Jason's voice? Let's go back to his profile. And here. Jason has a podcast called Business Security Weekly. So let's go to YouTube. Business Security Weekly podcast is a great example of Jason's voice across the board. And let's see. There's a picture of Jason right there. We saw that on his employee bio.
This week,
Excellent. Now what we're doing is we're going to look for different portions of the video that may have
Jason and I play devil's advocate either way on this one. So go ahead, Jason.
That may have just his voice.
I saw you shaking your head. Now I'm like, I take a contrarian view here. Yeah, well, at the end. Should have a vulnerability capability within them. It's not the same. It's not the.
Excellent. Those are spots for only Jason, right? And I need 5 seconds really to clone his voice effectively. It's going to clone not just his nuance that we did with with ChatGPT, we're going to clone his speech. We're going to clone the way that he pauses. We're going to clone the way that he has the inflection in his voice. And to do that, 5 seconds is what I need. I'm going to grab as much time as possible with it. And within those spots in that video, you can see that. Now, sometimes with Teams, this is a team webinar, the audio will come through, maybe it won't, I'm not sure, right? But if it doesn't, you can certainly visit that, and we will do that. So let's find some spots here. I've got them listed. And in order to clone Jason's speech, I want to go to 11 Labs. 11 Labs, there's some other programs too. 11 Labs is a great program. I'm going to log in. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. Okay. All right. And now that I'm in, what we're going to do is we're going to prompt engineer 11 Labs. Time to clone. Right? I already cloned them once. You can see it in there. But for that, we're going to create a good clip of Jason. I'm going to note the timestamps in there. And then I'm going to put in into my YouTube voice extraction program, which is just a YouTube downloader program. And again, be careful the one you download, because there are, we'll say, packages hidden in some of them. Those packages can make it very dangerous to download, especially to your computer. But the one here, it's going on my Linux box. I've already tested it out. I'm confident in its abilities. I'm going to extract Jason's voice from his YouTube video, just Jason's voice, because I know the timestamps on there. Now, this part takes about a half a minute or so, like once we actually finish the prompt from there and the direction. Right? And we're getting the beginning. We're telling it it's going to be about 40 seconds or so, roughly. You can see we've already run through this a little while ago. So the timestamps will be off from when you're watching this, when we recorded this. Again, this is a demo that I built for MassQ over at Gillette Stadium. It was an awesome event, but you'll see that's why. So here, this will take about the half minute. It's extracting his voice. Because this is on my Linux box, I'll copy it over to a Windows PC. Excellent. There it is. My desktop PC, so I will delete it. I don't need it anymore. All right, excellent. So now that it's on my desktop, what do I need to do? I need to get into 11 Labs, right? So here, I'm going to upload it back to 11 Labs. So Jason Albuquerque's voice, essentially. You only need one voice. I told you before, I created one before as I was testing it and actually building out the demo. So we're creating this one now. Same thing as the other one. One thing to know with 11 Labs is that when you create a one of the free voices, it stays there, so you can't delete it. Now, we're going to prompt 11 Labs so that way it uses Jason's actual voice, and we're going to make a quick, direct message that asks for a fast turnaround for Nicole. We're not going to leave her room to ask any questions either, right? And that's essentially what we're doing here. Hi, Nicole. I just sent you a quick email. It's sensitive in nature, so please keep it between us. Can you turn around information to me in the next few minutes? And we're generating the speech.
Hi, Nicole. I just sent you a quick email. It is sensitive in nature, so please keep it between us. Can you turn around the info to me in the next few minutes?
And again, if the audio didn't come out for that, feel free to reach out to me. You'll be surprised at how accurate it is. I'd be more than happy to show it to you. And then after that, Nicole will have a response. Yes, Jason, maybe she wants to ask a different question. I'm going to keep it short. Thanks. Thanks for the help. Got to run. Right. So that way he doesn't have to answer the questions you may have. Is something going on with Manny? What's the issue here? Yeah, I may need another hour or two. Thanks for the help. Excuse me. Got to run. So here we go. A copy of the actual information right now. Perfect. And now I want to create another prompt, right? This other prompt is going to help us contact the front desk of Envision. I don't have Nicole's cell phone. I don't have her direct number. It's not listed on the website there. So I want to fish the front desk of Envision to actually to actually give me the number, Nicole's direct number. Another one that we're going to create quick and direct. Hey, it's Jason. Can you please let me know Nicole's direct dial number is? Right? He doesn't have her cell phone, doesn't have a direct dial number. He's in a rush. Right? And again, I want to keep it quick. Great. Thanks for the help. Got to run.
Great. Thanks for the help. Got to run.
All right. So now we are done with that. We're going to download the second one. This is going to be for Envision's front desk. Excellent. Now, I also don't have Envision's number. So let's go and get Envision's number. Now I do have Envision's number. I actually work for Envision, but let's get it. Pretend that we're actually that threat actor. So here's Envision's number. I've got the number. I can call them through Teams. I can call them through a phone link. There's other ways that we can hide it. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to simulate right now calling them on my phone. I'll stop sharing that. And while we do this, I'm going to share out let's see, Jason's voice. We're going to call Envision. Again, this is live, so bear with me on this stuff. Let's see. So
it's Jason. Can you please let me know what Nicole's direct dial number is?
Ring, ring, ring. I called Envision. I'm fishing them with that. Hey, it's Jason. Can you please let me know what Nicole's direct dial number is?
Great. Thanks for the help. Gotta run.
Great. Thanks for the help. Gotta run. I got her number. Now we're going to call Nicole. We're going to simulate it.
Hi, Nicole. I just sent you a quick email. It is sensitive in nature, so please keep it between us. Can you turn around the info to me in the next few minutes?
And if you didn't hear it, we're asking Nicole to send the info to us. And again, we were doing this as a live demo. We actually were calling her over the phone. We were piping it through the speakers in the room.
Thanks for the help.
Thanks for the help. Got to run, Nicole. All right. So now we've got Nicole. We've fished her successfully. What do we want to do from here? Right. Let's go back and check her. Right now, Nicole is going to be checking her email. Again, we could have done this first and then sent the email as a follow-up. Maybe Nicole didn't get her email box before then. Maybe she didn't have any other question. Who knows, right? There's a multitude of ways we could have tackled this. But let's say, for all intents and purposes of this demo, that I've compromised Nicole now. She thinks that Jason is actually asking for information about Manny. So let's get back to sharing the screen. Let's go back to the email box. Now, a compromise has happened. Nicole sent us the information. We asked for information about Nicole, urgent employee records request. That's from our ChatGPT, right? Here we go. Nicole sent us Manny, her boss's employee file. She had access to it. She runs GRC. Now, this information particularly has sensitivity labels, compliance. We talked about compliance initially. right? And here's why it's critical. Compliance itself protects the information because it gives you ownership of that. What it does is puts a tag of information in all of your data, right? All the data that it has the ability to. And that tag of information checks the world around it. I'm on this computer, this person's logged in, do they have access to open me? And that's exactly what Manny's file did. Manny's file said, I'm on this computer because Nicole sent me to it. This person's logged in. Well, Jay Longley, if the threat actor's logged in, Jay Longley doesn't have access to see Manny's information. Does Jay Longley have the ability to open it? So send that information up to the cloud. The cloud reaches back down and says, absolutely not. We're going to challenge you because the way you're logged in right now, we don't want you to have this information. So prove to us that you can actually access this information. So the sensitive information, Manny's social security numbers and his employee information, maybe his health records, or really anything else, any information that has sensitivity labels on it, has protected the file. And you also have the ability to change sensitivity labels. We talked about confidential, public, internal, right? Just because you list something with a public label doesn't mean you can't change it later on also. So it gives you a lot of power. Now, I, as a threat actor, received it, as you saw, and I tried to open it. I can't open it. There's no ability for me to open it as it is, right? Because sensitivities won't allow it. Now, since I, as a threat actor, can't use it anymore, and I, as a threat actor, have a dark website, let's go stick this on my dark website. So let's go in there. I don't need it. I've used it, or I've tried to use it. I can't get into it. So it's worthless to me. But I made the compromise. So let's give it up for somebody else. Maybe they can get into it. Maybe they can't. Maybe we've got a disgruntled employee with the access to it, and they're going to download it from the dark web. Since I can't use it anymore as a threat actor, I'm going to put it on my ransomware site, my leak site on the dark web. And this is actually on the dark web. So feel free, if you want, go on the dark web. It's dangerous to go there, but because your system may be vulnerable to certain compromises. But if you want to, feel free. This will be my website. You can see I'm copying Manny's file up there right now. Great. And I've got some other information that we're simulating up there. Not only am I just putting it up there on the back end, which, I obviously know how to get there. I want to show you how to get there. Because why not? Right? Now, to get to the dark web, I use a special machine in the lab. It's Kali Linux, right? And on my Kali Linux box, I connect a Tor, which is the onion router. The onion router allows you to go to .onion sites, which is the dark web. Right? Normal browsers like Firefox or Edge or Chrome can't get there. But we're going to use this. Now I'm going to go to AMIA also, which is like the Google for the dark web. And, I'm not a specifically named threat actor group because you could always search for them. You've heard many of them in the news. I'm Jay Longley, so we're going to search for Longley because I'm the threat actor that we're simulating here. And as you can see, this is my dark website. As certain things that I'm great at. One thing is certainly not building websites and web pages, but for all intents and purposes, this is our page. And that is my onion site. That's my dark website. And we found it through the search engine, right? So now what I'm going to do is go to the stolen data, my leak site. And you can see here's a bunch of different information that's up there, right, on the dark web. Some of the information is protected with sensitivity labels. Some of it's not. Go to my dark website if you want to and try this for yourself. When documents don't have sensitivity labels, they don't inspect the world around it. When they do have sensitivity labels, they do inspect the world around it. I'm on this computer, this person's logged in, they have access to open me. As you can see here, Manny's information was posted on the dark web. It still had that sensitivity label. It's not going to let me get to it. Didn't let me get to it on my computer that Nicole emailed. Doesn't let me get to it as somebody, on the dark web downloading leaks. Think of all the different leaks that have happened, even hyper locally here. If the information was protected with this, be fine. Now, this particular file has no sensitivity labels. The information was not protected. So this is Manny's social security number, essentially, with no sensitivity labels. You saw we were able to open it. You saw that we were able to open it because it did not inspect the world around it. And it right there is how compliance labels, sensitivity labels protect the organization. Now you can go up there and take a look at it. I've got other information in there. I've got sensitivity labels from an RIGCS tenant, sensitivity labels from an Envision tenant. Envision employees logged into Envision computers that have access to open that can actually open the Envision ones with sensitivity labels. The RIGCS tenant can actually open those, but RIGCS tenant can't open Envision. Envision can't open RIGCS tenant. So even sensitivity labels, just because it has sensitivity label, doesn't mean anybody outside that organization can actually access it too. So there's a lot of ownership and a lot of abilities with that. And if I wanted to, I can actually tell the data to delete itself, encrypt itself, alert me on it, tell me where you are, tell me whose computer you were stolen with, and where are you in the world. I can have it give me all that information back. And you can see here, that's how we've protected information using governance, risk, and compliance, using sensitivity labels. I would say every organization that has Microsoft 365, even the ones that have Google Classrooms, many of the administration side use Microsoft, right? They use Microsoft 365 for a variety of things. The variety of things could be administration and billing, payroll, and whatever else, right? So because they have all that, everybody with Microsoft 365 has the abilities for this. Now, I'm not a Microsoft guy. I use a lot of their tools that are really, really good, but I want to start just really having it hit home the fact that you need this. You have the tools, enable them. Most of the time, it doesn't even cost anything out, like extra. You're putting things in place, following a framework that has already been established. Just make sure you're pulling the proper partners in there that know how to do this, that know how to enable it, so that way you don't become that doctor or that lawyer or that law firm or that school system or that local government who is putting information about HIPAA or PII or PCI or credit cards or social security numbers or kids or all of that, on a system that's not protected. So think about that. For every ransomware attack, each one of those pieces of data that's on the web that was not properly secured yet, the tools were there. Think about that. Tools they already paid for. They wouldn't even require additional tools. Think about how protected your information would have been and how your information would have been exposed because of that doctor's office or that state government that put it up there. Now, I'm going to challenge you with something. I want you to take out your phones. We're not going to simulate this. I want you to open up Outlook, right? If you can see it, open up Outlook. Go into your Outlook. And you can certainly do it on Gmail too, if you want. I don't have Gmail on this phone, so I'm not going to show you how to do it. Create a new message. See that? Create a new message. See the plus in the bottom? Click on plus. You can see add sensitivity right in the bottom. Do you have that? Do you have that? Do you have sensitivity labels? Because if you don't have sensitivity labels, don't own your data. And with that, let's have a conversation. Let's continue this conversation because you have risk and I want to prevent that risk. I want to help you. And that's essentially what we're here to do, help each other. So let's continue the discussion. Feel free to scan this and I'd love to hear from you. Again, thanks for bearing with me. This was a conversation that we had at MassQ, but I felt it was really impactful and I wanted to continue the conversation and bring it to the masses because actually seeing the dark web, understanding sensitivity labels, seeing governance, risk, and compliance, those frameworks actually in use and how it protects organizations, and seeing how, with the proper forethought, you can own your data no matter where it is. You can also identify how people have put you at risk. Let's not put anybody else at risk. Let's continue the discussion. Let's get the proper frameworks in place. And with that, have a happy new year. Look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.